Hey guys. You are watching your anime world. How are you all? Please support to subscribe this channel for watching new interesting stories. So in this video, we will see what if Deku had a fire demon quirk. Here is short summary. Izuku Midoriya life has been worse than lowest levels of hell. His quirk gives him the powers to generate fire. The fire that killed and destroyed his life. Will he die by the flames or control them to live the life he wants? But before we start, if you want more stuff like this, then be sure to subscribe and like this video. And if possible, share this video with your friends. Now let's start the story. The house comes down. Izuku was 4 when his life went to shit. See, he never knew his father, but it was his quirk that destroyed his life. His mom had a telekinetic quirk. His father wanted to use it with his own to break through his own shortcomings. To his father's credit, when Izuku said he wanted to become a support course hero, he stepped back on the training and left to work with his other son who did want to be a hero. Izuku Midoriya is what he chose to be called. Izuku's 4th birthday was fun. He didn't get his quirk right then and there, but he still had fun. That night when he went to sleep, he felt hot, extremely hot. He got up and took off his shirt. Under his chest was a glowing core, right where his heart and lungs were. He burped and fire spewed from his mouth. He jumped back as his poster of All Might started to burn. He started to panic as his whole body started to spark. Mom, there's a fire, help. Izuku moved to one side of his room, but his body caught on fire as he panicked. The walls started to burn. Bright red flames came from everywhere. Inko Midoriya came out of her room, running towards the flames. She could see a flaming figure in the corner of the room. Izuku. Stay there, I'm coming to you. Izuku started to cough from the smoke. His body wasn't used to his quirk yet. Every cough spat out more flames. The room was coming down as the wood and brick burnt to ash. Inko ran forward, creating a bubble of psychic energy to protect herself. The smoke still got to her, causing her cough. She got to Izuku and covered herself in psychic energy to grab him, but his flames were so hot it burnt her. This is bad, any more and we'll both die. I know I have to make sure he must live. Inko took a deep breath. She put a bubble around the two and hugged Izuku. Her skin burnt, turning into a pink shade but eventually started turning black. Mom. Stop. Why, you're going to die. Just leave me here. Izuku started to cry, which evaporated with a sizzle. Inko shook her head and focused on Izuku and the bubble. The house burned around them, but the only thing in that moment was them. Listen to me, Izuku. No matter what happens, I will always love you. This is not your fault, okay? This is just the way things happened. I will never blame you. Please just live, okay? Live how you want. Be a hero or a support hero. Whichever you choose, never let anyone choose what you feel is right. I will always support you from close and from far. 'Cause you are the kid who made me a mom. Inko smiled brightly as she hugged Izuku, flames engulfing the both of them. You were always my hero. Minutes later, heroes and firefighters came and put out the fire. All that was left was a crying child hugging himself, ashes all around him. The wild flames. Izuku walked with his bag on his back. He just came from school. Burn scars covered his back. He was 12 now. For the last 8 years he's been on his own. The government set him up with a small apartment close to his school. Izuku rubbed his shoulder, a hole in his uniform. Fucking Bakugo. I wonder how the hell he can think how he thinks. He walks down the street, his head low. He has his long green hair tied back in a small ponytail. He heads down a path to the local cemetery. He sighs as he arrives at the tombstone. Here lies Inko Midoriya, mother, friend, and a wonderful woman. Born 2123, died 2167. Izuku set down his bag and took out a blanket. He set it next to the grave and took out a few cleaning supplies. He starts cleaning the tombstone and ignores the world around him. Hey mom, I know I haven't been around lately, it's been a crazy month. I've had to study for finals, I'm heading to middle school now. Izuku looked down. He put away his cleaning supplies and took out 2 sandwiches. He also set out a few cherry blossoms. He smiled sadly as he ate. School's been a bit tough. Bakugo still blames me for your death. It's so bad I can't visit Aunt Mitsuki as much as I would like. I still visit your old agency though. A new hero just moved in. I was actually going to visit that spot again and see the sunset. Izuku finished eating and took the other sandwich and burnt it. An offering for Inko. He looked away. Tears started to stream down his face. I miss you, Mom. It sucks without you. I'm just tired of everything. Bakugo and his bullshit. The ignorant comments people make about your old hero career as Telectra. I hate this fucking Quirk. Maybe if I was just born quirkless you would still be here. I just want it to end. Izuku sobbed and sat there for a bit. He eventually wiped his tears and packed everything away. He kissed his finger and pressed his fingers to the top of the grave. Izuku walks away, the grave now completely quiet, almost peaceful. Izuku walked towards a building. There was no one inside. Maybe the hero hasn't arrived yet. Izuku uses his spare key and walks in. It was pretty basic. A front desk which was empty right now, a gym for working out in the back, a Quirk training area where you could go apeshit without breaking anything, and rooms in case you need to sleep there after a long day of work. Inko, after she retired, would come back here with Izuku for nostalgia and sleep in the rooms. Izuku went up the stairs to the roof. It had rails so you wouldn't fall off. Izuku set his bag down and leaned against the rails. He looked at the horizon as the sun started to set. I missed this. No wonder Mom liked it here. Hey, what are you doing here? The sudden appearance of a voice startled Izuku, causing him to turn around, and fire danced around his head before putting itself out. He saw a woman with silver hair, bunny ears, and long defined legs. She wore a brown baggy tank top and black shorts. Oh sorry, this was my mom's old agency. I like to visit from time to time. She was the pro hero Telectra. Izuku had dealt with this before. The death of the old number 6 hero was big news, so usually they allowed him to just come in to visit the old place. The woman sighed. The old owner did tell me about that. I forgot. Sorry for your loss by the way. The woman then squinted her eyes. Wait a second, you're not here to jump, are you? The old hero, what was his name? Gran Torino said he had to save you cause you tried to. Izuku sighed. He sat down and shook his head. That old geezer, I guess he did care. Izuku chuckled self-deprecatingly. He looked at the woman. Don't worry, that was 3 years ago. I'm doing better, I guess. The woman seemed skeptical. I guess. That doesn't fill me with reassurance, kid. The woman walked closer and sat next to Izuku. She scowled when Izuku raised an eyebrow at her and gave her a, what the fuck you doing look. You look fucking depressed and you have a history, so I'm staying here till you leave. I'm a hero, so I can't let you just off yourself as soon as I turn my back. Izuku rolled his eyes and looked away. What's your name anyway? Might as well get to know the person who's gonna inhabit my mom's agency. The name's Maruko, kid. I just started on my own after being a sidekick for a few months. The place was going for cheap, so thought I could turn it into a gym agency. Izuku looked at her confused. Wait, you're not going to hire any sidekicks? Assistant? Hell, even an intern? Maruko shook her head. Nope. I don't need help. Anyone who needs help in a fight is weak. You should be able to defeat your enemy by yourself, and if you need help I consider you weak. Izuku chuckled. Well, I guess I can understand that. My mom didn't really need help before she retired. Her sidekicks kinda just hung around and helped arrest the villains she defeated. Maruko laughed. Yay, I met your mom once when I was small. Maruko punched his shoulder and Izuku held it and laughed. Maruko rolled her eyes. Whatever, anyway she was nice. It was right after she defeated a guy with a drill Quirk single-handedly. It was awesome. Izuku smiled. She was. Izuku looked away again. He saw the sun start to go down behind the mountains. Hey Maruko. Maruko looked at the kid. Yay kid. Izuku looked at her. Do you think I could become a hero? I'm the reason my mom died. Do I even deserve to try? Do I even deserve to L? Maruko covered Izuku's mouth. Enough with that. Now listen up. Maruko stood up and helped Izuku up. I heard about that incident. Shit like that happens all the time. You never did it on purpose, so no, you're not a murderer. You're just a kid who went through some terrible shit. And whether you can be a hero. Maruko jumped forward and threw a kick. Izuku yelped and put his hand out. shooting out a jet of gold and red flames. Maruko dodged it by barrel rolling in the air. She landed on her feet and rushed forward, kicking at him with her knee. Izuku caught it with his hands and threw out a fiery punch. Maruko dodged and jumped back. "What the hell, Maruko?" Maruko laughed. "You should have seen your face, kid." Maruko held her stomach as she laughed. She wiped tears from her eyes and sighed. That was your answer, kid. You were definitely sloppy, but with training you can be better." Izuku looked at her with wide eyes. Maruko smirked at him. Izuku held back tears and grabbed at his heart. Maruko smiled softly. "Kid, I'm saying you can be a hero. I'll help you with it too. Every beginner needs a mentor." Izuku fell to his knees as tears streamed down his face. The vision of his mom holding him in that fire came to his mind. "You were always my hero." Izuku sobbed as he felt the darkness he's been dealing with for the past 8 years started to dissipate, showing a future he wanted to be a part of. Training the flames. Izuku sighed as he laid down on his bed in his brand new room. Maruko wanted Izuku close so she could keep an eye on him, and so it was easy to wake up early for training. He spent the day packing and moving into the agency. Maruko went out for patrolling and was bringing back food. "I can't believe this is my life now. The pro hero Maruko is gonna train me. I'm gonna become a hero. This is the best." Izuku sat up and looked out his window. He looked at his palm and summoned his flames. "Mom, I'll become a hero you would be proud of." Izuku heard a knock on his door and opened it. Maruko was there holding the food. She held out the bag. "Here kid, set up the dinner table. I'm gonna get out of this costume." Izuku grabbed the bag and nodded with a slight blush. "Not to be rude, Maruko, but I was wondering, why is your costume that revealing?" Maruko laughed and shook her head. "Well kid, my quirk puts a lot of power in my legs, so I need a lot of room to kick. Plus I could give a crap about what people think about me when there's costumes like Ms. Midnight." Now that's not a dig on Ms. Midnight. She's the pioneer of us female heroes and how we decide how our costumes should be. Maruko raised an eyebrow. "That problem, kid?" Izuku shook his head no and started to walk off when, "Hey kid." Izuku turned back. "Yay." Maruko smirked. "I forgot to tell you my real name. It's Rumi Usugiyama, just call me Rumi though." Izuku smiled. "Thanks Rumi, you can call me Izuku." The two smiled and went off to do what they needed to do. Izuku was glad he was on summer break, because he didn't know how he would be able to handle this in school. It was ridiculous the schedule Rumi had him on. First, they did over 20 stretches for their bodies. Then they did 100 push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and lunges. Then they ran for 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers, and then they did the workout machines and weights. He started with 40 pounds using the leg press, lat pull down, chest press, tricep row, shoulder press, and bicep curls. Finally, they spared until Izuku couldn't get up. He wore basketball shorts and a tank top while Maruko wore a black crop top and black shorts. In the afternoon they rested till 4 o'clock. That's when Izuku's fire quirk trainer came over. "So who's this trainer you hired?" Izuku asked as he had ice packs all over his body to help his sore body. Rumi was used to this, so she was getting ready for her patrol without any problems. "Her name is Mokami G. She's a pro hero called Burnin. She's a sidekick to Endeavor. She has really good flame control. We went to the same hero school, so I called in a favor." Izuku nodded. He watched as Rumi started to walk out. "Hey Rumi." Rumi looked back at him. "Yeah kid." Izuku looked away. "Stay safe. I need you so I can eat since I'm flat broke." Rumi rolled her eyes and smiled. "Sure kid, work hard Izuku." Izuku sighed as he waited for the trainer. "That damn rabbit worked me too hard. I can barely feel my arms or legs." Izuku heard a jingle as someone rang the doorbell. He opened it to see a woman with fiery hair. She had it tied back into a ponytail. Her bright yellow eyes looked at the boy studying him. The woman smirked. "Hey, I'm Mokami G. Are you the kid I'm training?" Izuku nodded. "Yeah, I'm Izuku Midoriya. Nice to meet ya Midoriya. Now come on, does this place have a place where we can train safely?" Izuku nodded. He showed her the quirk training room where they can train without burning the place down. "Okay Midoriya, Let me see your quirk and what you can do. We'll figure out more later. Okay. Izuku took a deep breath and breathed out fire. He then grabbed the stream of flames and twisted it. It started to morph into a fiery spear. Kamiji looked at how he controlled the flames. Izuku then transformed it into a sword. He had the fiery turn into a stream of fire and twirl around him. He then dispersed it. Was that good? Kamiji brought her fingers to her chin and thought, he has good enough control, but those constructs were spewing fire uncontrollably. It wasn't that formed, I guess. He seems to be able to breathe fire too. That was okay. Can you create the fire without having to breath it out first? Izuku shook his hand in a kind gesture. I can, but it has to travel through my body first. It starts here at my heart. Izuku pulled his tank top down a bit from the collar, showing his chest. Izuku turned his palm up and his chest glowed a bit. Then she could see that the fire traveled to palm and fire appeared. It happens faster if I want it to, but yay, it starts at the chest, so it's just easier and way faster if I just breathe it out. Kamiji nodded. What's your quirk called, by the way? Izuku sighed. Oni. Understand, the doctor called it that. He was an American that loved Japanese culture, and after that time I was engulfed in flames. He said I looked like an Oni, so Oni is the name. Kamiji's eyes widened. Engulfed in flames. What happened? Izuku's expression darkened. When I was younger I had trouble controlling my flames, so I would randomly burst on fire. I was fine, but my whole body would just be in flames. It's how my mom died. Oh, was your mom Telectra? Izuku nodded. Kamiji sighed and facepalmed. Midoriya, it should have been obvious for me. I am so sorry, I did not mean to bring up any past traumas. Izuku shook his head. It's fine, I was young and it's why I want to get even more control. That way it can never happen again. Kamiji smiled softly. Well then, let's get started. They practiced on him controlling the shape of his flames and how much he can create before he started to overheat. After they rested for a bit, they practiced on creating flames faster. She had him hold his arms out and roared out loud, shooting out flames from his mouth and fists. He would eventually run out of flames, so they practiced storing flames in his body and shooting them out again. Eventually Rumi came back with food, so they stopped. Hey, how's it going, Mo? Kamiji looked at Rumi with a smirk. You sure know how to pick good protégés. He's amazing. Rumi looked at Izuku with a look that said, see, I told you so. Well, I brought food, do you want some, Mo? Kamiji blushed a little bit and looked away. Are you sure? I could just go home. I have leftovers in the fridge. Huh, why the heck would you do that? You came all this way to come train this brat and you don't want food. You stupid. Hey, both of them said. Kamiji sighed and crossed her arms. I guess you're right, I am starving. Rumi grinned. That's what I'm talking about. Come on kid, set the table first, I need to change and shower. Yomo, come with me. Kamiji blushed and shook her head. I'm good, I'll just use the gym showers. Rumi sighed and shrugged. Fine, your choice. Kid, come on, take the bag so I can go shower. Izuku sighed and grabbed it. Sure, you overgrown rabbit. Rumi bonked him on the head. Ow, I was just joking. Izuku left to go set the table. The two women laughed and left to go wash up and change. Izuku smiled to himself as he watched the two. It's so obvious, it's insane. After Izuku showered, they ate and talked. Eventually Kamiji left to Rumi's disappointment. Izuku sat with Rumi on the couch in the common room. So, how long do you think it'll take before you get to her? Rumi turned red out of embarrassment before turning that embarrassment into rage. What the hell do you mean by that? Izuku smirked. Oh, nothing, it's just that you sure were staring at her ass for quite some time. Rumi stood up, her face red. Wanna say that again, you moody broccoli? Izuku shook his head. No, I'm good. Izuku smirked and looked away, mumbling just loud enough for Rumi's super hearing to hear him. You horny rabbit. You asked for it. Rumi charged at him and started kicking him, Izuku laughing his ass off the whole time. Strange encounters. Izuku's life started going way better after meeting Maruko. Rumi's next 3 years were some of the best of his life after his mom died. In the mornings he trained his body and hand-to-hand skills. Maruko taught him boxing, kickboxing, taekwondo, capoeira, and jiu-jitsu. In the afternoon they rested until Burnin Mokamiji came over and helped him train his quirk. He could create flaming weapons like a katana, swords, tonfa, scythe, axe, double-sided axe, katars, flamethrowers, double-ended swords, and bows. He could create and throw out fire easily, and his control over it has grown exponentially. Rumi had let her gym out to the public and has been doing well. It has allowed others in the area to come in and do many things other than just use the machines. You could learn martial arts and spar easily, and for a fee she would work out with you and set up a regimen. If you had asked Izuku 3 years ago that his life would be this good, he would have told you to fuck off, cause how dare you tell him his life would be great when you got no bitches and probably didn't shower today and your crusty Cheetos fingers could never amount to anything. Izuku and Rumi grew closer over the next 3 years. They eventually just thought of each other as brother and sister, same thing with Kamiji. Well, except for Rumi and Kamiji, who obviously had a crush on each other. Izuku had one goal this year. He wanted to get into UA High. He spent the last year training for this, and today was the day of the tests. Izuku woke up in a good mood. He was excited and more than a little nervous. He ran down the stairs where Maruko was. Her hair was a mess and all she wore was a big t-shirt and panties. It was her day off, so she was gonna relax. Morning, Rumi. He patted her head and started grabbing his breakfast Rumi cooked. Rumi rolled her eyes. Do that again and I'll break your arms. Also, good morning, Izu. Izuku chuckled. Whatever, Rumi, you can't ruin today for me. Rumi smiled softly. Today's the day, right? Izuku nodded. It is. It's the only chance I have to make my mom proud. His expression worried now. Rumi sighed and went up to Izuku, bonking him on the head. Idiot, your mom will be proud no matter what you do. Rumi smirked at Izuku. You'll be fine, I trained you, of course. Izuku grinned. You're right, thanks Rumi, for everything. Rumi sighed and ran her fingers through her hair. It was no problem. Now come on, you're going to be late. Rumi smiled softly. Good luck, Izu. Izuku nodded and ate quickly. He gave Rumi a quick hug and left. He took the bus all the way to UA. On the bus he got a call from Kamiji. Hey Mo. Kamiji chuckled on the other end. Hey Izu, I heard you were going for your test. I just wanted to tell you good luck. Izuku grinned. Thanks Mo, I'll use all the training you gave me to beat this test. Izuku heard Kamiji cackle on the other end. Don't get so cocky, you emo broccoli. You're not going to be the only one there with the huge desire to get in there. She's right. I need to get into UA. I need to make my mom proud. I can't fail her again. Don't worry, I'll keep my guard up Mo. Also thanks for everything. Izuku blushed when he heard Kamiji say, you care. Izuku rolled his eyes. I take it back. Kamiji cackled. Whatever, you freckled jackass, it's been my pleasure to watch you grow stronger. Do your best, Izu. Izuku smiled. I will, also. Just a little tip. Rumi is home on her day off and she should still only be in a shirt and panties. Good luck with that, Mo. You bast. Izuku hung up and chuckled to himself. Messing with them is fun. I wonder what's taking them so long. Izuku sighed and put his hair in a small ponytail and put his earbuds in. He scrolled on his phone till he found his comfort song. He sang it a little since there was only one other person on the bus. A girl with big blue flowy hair. Night Dancer by Amaze, English version. Don't talk to me, just keep on stepping to the beat. With you here by my side, nowhere I'd rather be. Izuku tapped his foot on the train. He was in his own little world. Now time is stoppin' like the hand of a clock, feet like we're locked in, stuck inside this messy room. Izuku swayed side to side. He noticed the girl walk up to him, her face full of curiosity. Oh, I guess I'm being too loud to take it out so I could talk to her. Then something surprised him. It's never changing, just a scene inside my mind. Memories of you and me keep passing by, let's take it back now when the needle drops. The girl smiled brightly as she sang. The words coming out of her mouth like an angel singing some divine lyric. What the hell is happening? I am so confused, but I strangely don't mind. Izuku grinned and finished the next line. Let's play it back now, 'cause the music never stops. Don't need a change yet. Don't need a change yet. just stay the same, yeah. The girl started to dance a little. Looking back, the only one I saw was you. She's good, not to mention pretty. How does a girl this happy and beautiful exist? All the words we don't say. And the look on your face. The next part the two sang at the same time, both grinning. Yeah, I know it's best we keep it this way, maybe. And our time is running out. So just breathe it out. 'Cause for now there's nothing more for us to say. So baby, don't talk to me, just keep on stepping to the beat. With you here by my side, nowhere I'd rather be. Don't talk to me, just wanna feel your energy. Ah, let's just dance the night away. Izuku and the girl laughed after they finished. The girl looked at Izuku with a look of curiosity. Sorry about that, but you just looked like you were in your own world. I also just love that song. Do you like that song? What's your name? Do you have a quirk? What is it? That outfit with the tank top and basketball shorts, are you going to work out? Oh, are you going to some kind of contest? Izuku just stared at the girl as he took in everything the girl said. I do, it's my comfort song. My name is Izuku Midoriya, what's yours? I do have a quirk, it's called Oni, do you have one? I am going to UA to take the entrance exam, so I guess it is kind of like a contest. It was the girl's turn to be dumbfounded. Wait, you understood everything I said? Wow, that's impressive. Everyone else says I'm too hipper so they can barely understand my words. How can you though? You are some kind of psychic. The girl looked at Izuku suspiciously. Izuku raised an eyebrow and smiled. My quirk is Oni. It's a fire quirk. It's a mix of fire and a telekinetic quirk, but I can't read minds or futures. I have a bit of a muttering problem, so I can usually understand fast speaking. Plus, you haven't answered my questions. The girl looked surprised. Oh really? Well then, hello then, I'm Nejire Hado. My quirk is wave motion. I can create energy spirals. They don't move fast, but they allow me to fly, and they pack a huge punch, sometimes literally. Oh, and I'm a second year at UA. I'm part of the UA Big 3 with my friends. We're the top 3 UA students out of all 3 years. Izuku took all that in and smiled. Wow, really? Well, it will at least be nice to know one person at UA if I get in. Nejire beamed. That'll be super fun. We can train together if you want. Oh, and I can have you meet my friends Mirio and Amajiki. Oh hey, I'm going to meet them. We're going to hang out at Amajiki's house for a little bit before going to the mall and then the movies. You should be done with the UA entrance exam by then, so you can meet us at the mall. Come with, it'll be so fun. She's just one bundle of energy, isn't she? Well, I don't have many friends. Actually, I have no friends. Gods, I suck. I guess I should go. Whether I do good or not, it'll be fun. Izuku grinned. I'd like that. Here's my number. He shows her his phone, and she puts the number in his phone. Just text me the location and I'll meet you and your friends there. Okay. Good luck on your test. Nejire leaves at the next stop and waves at Izuku. Izuku waves back. As the bus starts up again, he sighs and smiles to himself. That was fun. I'm making friends. I can't help feeling that this could be a trap. Like how that one girl tricked me after asking me out just to make me wait there for her for an hour as a joke. Izuku slapped himself to take the dark thoughts out of his head. Come on, think happy thoughts. Today you're getting into UA, and after you'll hang out with a cute girl and make some new friends. Izuku gets off the bus and stands in front of the gates of UA. He walks up and he hears a familiar voice behind him. Deku, come the fuck on. Not him. Not right now. Izuku turned to see a guy with spiky blonde hair, red eyes, and the nastiest snarl ever. The fuck are you doing here, you murderer? Bakugo blasts forward with his explosions toward Izuku. Izuku sighs and with a swipe of his hand Bakugo's blasts extinguish and Bakugo flies forward onto his face, right in front of Izuku. Why hello Bakugo. I'd say it's nice to see you, but it'd be a lie. Bakugo stood up and wiped the blood from his face. Fuck you dumb ass broccoli. Izuku rolled his eyes. Why does everyone call me broccoli? My hair is not even that fluffy. Bakugo snarled. What the hell are you doing here, you murder? I thought I told you 3 years ago to not even dream of being a hero. You killed Auntie Inko. You don't deserve to be a hero. Hell, When the school looks into it, you may just get banned from ever going to any hero school. Bakugo smirked and released small amounts of explosions. Izuku glared at him. Don't say my mom's name, you angry Pomeranian. After all your bullshit, you think she would be proud of what you've done? Bakugo glared back at him. How would I know? You know how she's dead and all, or did your last brain cell die off already? Izuku smirked. Glad to know you haven't changed, cause now I can beat your ass. And every ignorant comment you make I will use to put you in the dirt. Bakugo smiled menacingly. I can say the same thing, you lanky celery stick. Then I'll see you in UA and you'll be the first person I beat the shit out of. Bakugo walks off, flipping Izuku off. Izuku rolls his eyes and looks at UA. I'm here, Mom. I know you probably won't approve, so please forgive me for beating the hell out of Bakugo. Izuku then walks into the building, walking towards his future. Test starts. Izuku walked into a huge auditorium with long desks and a stage for the speaker. Izuku sat down. He listened to the music as he waited for the test to start. He looked up when a girl with pink skin and yellow horns came and sat down next to him. She smiled at him. He could see her eyes. They sure are odd. I mean, they look nice, but they kind of look like raccoon eyes. The sclera is fully black, and the iris is this cool yellow color. He smiled back and held out a hand. Hey, I'm Izuku Midoriya. The girl giggled. I'm Mina Ashido. Nice to meet ya, Midoriya. I guess we're fluffy buddies, huh? Ashido pointed to her hair. Izuku grabbed a lock of his hair and twirled it between his index finger and thumb. I guess it is fluffy. Today is a day for meeting bubbly people. Izuku grinned. I guess so, fluffy buddy. The two fist bumped and chuckled. So, you nervous? Ashido nodded. I feel fine for the physical part, but I'm not that intellectually strong. Izuku nodded. Well, you're in company. I'm smart, but there's always the thought in the back of my mind that doubts every decision I do. Ashido suddenly beamed. Right. I swear, I love to dance, and I love the way I look, but there's still that voice that tells me, you're not good enough. You're not pushing yourself enough. It pisses me off, but I can't help but feel that it kind of has a point. Izuku nodded. Yay, I understand that. It's nice to meet someone else who feels the same. Ashido smiled and bumped his shoulder. It is, you're not a bad guy, Midoriya. You too, Ashido. Izuku grinned at her. The test started. The pro hero present mic came out and started the written part of the exam. Izuku felt confident as he saw the questions. He did feel unsure for a few, but he didn't leave any of the questions blank. He had to stifle a few laughs as Ashido either groaned in frustration, smacked her head against the table, or slapped herself to get the answers. At the end, Izuku submitted his test, and a few minutes later Ashido. I absolutely hated every second of that. Ashido groaned. She had her head down on the table. Izuku chuckled. Me too, it was definitely harder than I thought it would be. Hey, at least it's over, right? Ashido groaned in agreement. Present Mike explained the next part of the exam. Robots, really? This should be easy. I can melt metal easily with my flames. Here I come. Izuku stood up and looked at Ashido. What city are you in? Ashido looked at her paper. City B, U. Izuku looked at his inside. City D. Ah. Well, good luck, fluffy buddy. Izuku nodded and the two fist bumped before leaving for the test. Izuku waited at the gate and stretched. Okay, I got to get in there and hit them fast. There's going to be people with either more versatile or powerful quirks, so I need to be faster. Izuku jumped up to his feet as soon as the gates opened. Let's go then. Izuku ran through them. He could hear the complaints of cheating, but he was vindicated when Present Mike stated the obvious and told them in a real fight there are no countdowns. Izuku ran through the city. 5 one-pointers came at him. He got on his hands and started to spin his legs around, flames coming out and spinning with him. He kicked the robots, the flames melting them almost instantly. He landed on his feet and ran forward at a 2-pointer. The 2-pointer noticed him and came at him. It threw a punch which Izuku dodged. He put his palm to the robot, exploding after sending a huge amount of condensed fire. He took a deep breath. He could sense his fire burning down the robots a few feet away. He took a deep breath, and the fire came towards him. He then ate the fire. I feel like Natsu from Fairy Tail. Eating fire has a weird taste, not bad but not good. It's kind of like bottled water. I have a few points but I wanna be number 1. If I beat Bakugo, I should be able to piss him off. Izuku continued to take out the robots around him. He created a fiery scimitar and sliced through the robots like hot butter. Izuku could feel himself heat up considerably. It's getting too hot. I hope there is no one around. Izuku took a deep breath in. He could see a line of 1-pointer and a few 3-pointers in front. They charged at him and he made a breathed-out fire from his mouth in a straight line. He melted the robots instantly. He continuously spit fire, turning his head to hit the robots that survived from the sides. When he was done, he sighed as he felt cooler. In front of him were puddles of liquid metal. Izuku turned to walk away but then he felt giant footsteps. He looked behind him and could see the giant 0-pointer look down at everyone. What the fuck? I thought they were joking. How the hell is this safe? You can miss me with this bullshit. Izuku ran towards the gate. He created a fiery dragon and tried to speed up using its fiery power. But he stopped as he heard someone call out for help. He turned to see a brunette girl trapped under the rubble. Izuku sighed as he turned around and quickly got to her. He unsummoned the dragon and grabbed the chunk of rock she was over. Hey, get ready, I'm not going to be able to hold this up forever, so hurry. Ready? The girl nodded and Izuku lifted the rock up with some effort. The girl crawled forward and away from the rock. Izuku dropped the rock and helped the girl up, but when she set down her foot she yelped in pain. Damn, she must have sprained her ankle. Izuku sighed and set her down. What are you doing? The girl yelled out, her voice full of terror. Something stupid. Izuku summoned his dragon again and flew fast away and up to the robot's head. He took a deep breath in, eating the dragon's fire. He started to build up fire in his chest. He then had it gather in his fist and burst ablaze. Let's do this. Go ahead and live with your head held high. No matter how devastated you may be by your own weakness or uselessness, set your heart ablaze. Infernal Fist. Izuku's fist turned black as his gold and red flame engulfed his fist. He punched and smashed a huge dent in the robot. Flames started to engulf the head of the robot, but that wasn't all there was. Use the heat of the potential energy, right where the punch landed, and set it on a flame. Intricate overload. The heat from the punch left an imprint of potential energy and he used it to set the circuits and wires on fire, melting the robot from the inside. The robot fell backwards on fire and melting. Izuku summoned his dragon and got to the ground where the girl was. Izuku landed right next to her and unsummoned his dragon. Are you okay? We need to move in case the fire gets closer. The girl looked at him dumbfounded. How did you do that? That was so cool. Thanks for saving me, by the way. Izuku smiled and helped her up, throwing her arm around his neck and supporting her. Thanks, I'm Izuku Midoriya. The girl grinned as they walked slowly to the gate. Ochako Uraraka. Ow, ow, my ankle is killing me. Need help. The two looked down to see a short old woman in a doctor's coat. Hello dearies, I'm Recovery Girl. I'm the school's nurse. Here, let me see. Recovery Girl kissed Ochako's cheek and her ankle healed. Wow, thanks. Then her face paled as she thought of something. Wait, I won't have to pay for they, will I? Please don't make me pay. I'm flat broke. All I have is food stamps. Recovery Girl laughed. Don't worry dearie, it's free of charge. Ochako sighed, thankful. Izuku chuckled. If you want Uraraka, I have a ton of food stamps back when I lived on my own. I also got coupons you can have. Ochako looked at him with a glitter in her eyes and hugged him. Midoriya, you are amazing. She backed off with a blush but still grinned at him. Izuku had a slight blush but nodded. Thanks. Good luck on getting in. You too, Midoriya. Izuku left the area and looked at his phone. It was a text from Najire. Hey Midoriya, hope you did well. Here's the address for the mall. Hope to see you there. Izuku smiled and walked away from UA. I can't believe I'm making friends. Hope I'm making you proud, Mom. Pros of friends. Izuku stood in front of the mall waiting for Najire. Okay, calm down Izuku, maybe it won't be like last time. You got 5 minutes ago, so maybe they're just running a bit late. Hell, maybe I'm early. God, maybe I'm just an idiot and I got tricked. Aga. Whoa buddy, you good? Izuku turned around to see a blonde guy a little taller than him. He wore a smile on his face that reminded him of All Might a bit. His blonde hair was a bit like his own, just less fluffy. He had tied back in a small ponytail. He wore a plain white t-shirt, blue jeans, and a black jacket tied around his waist. Sorry, but you were mumbling pretty bad. Izuku turned red from embarrassment. Oh, sorry. It's a bit of a bad habit for me. It's no problem, man, I'm MI. The guy was about to say his name, but the voice of a bubbly blue-haired girl stopped him. Midoriya. Nejire flew and hugged Izuku from seemingly nowhere. There you are. Phew, you have no idea how long we've been looking for you. We checked the other side of the mall and then a few of the shops, but I couldn't find you. Oh, hey, you've already met Mirio. Mirio meet Izuku. Midoriya. Izuku meet Mirio Tagata. I met him on the bus singing that one song. Oh, it's Night Dancer. Isn't that Mirio? Did you know Midoriya might be in UA with us? He's going to be a first year. Oh, yeah Midoriya, how did the entrance exam go? Did you get in? Oh, I'm starving, are you? You probably are since you just went through the entrance exam. Should we get pizza? I like pizza. Do you like pizza, Midoriya? Izuku focused on what Nejire was saying and played it back in his head. Sorry, the bus was taking a while because of traffic. Nice to meet you, Tagata. Yay, it was crazy. I was just singing to myself, and Hado joined me. Yeah, hopefully I will be able to join you guys. I feel okay about it. The written exam was okay, but I feel confident about the physical part of it, and I'll have no idea until a few weeks from now. I am hungry and I don't like pizza. I love it. Mirio stared at Izuku dumbfounded. How did you understand her that fast? It took me and Amjiki a whole year to understand her, and even then, we still need her to slow down a bit. Izuku rubbed the back of his head and chuckled. I have the same problem with my muttering, so I have some practice. All of a sudden Izuku felt Nejire hug him. He blushed a bit. He's mine. No one else can have him. Nejire joked. Mirio laughed and looked at Izuku with a look that said, well, what you going to do about that, huh? Izuku rolled his eyes. He looked by Mirio and saw a guy with dark hair facing the wall of the mall. Is his quirk going into walls? Cause it looks like he's trying to become one with it. Mirio looked at where Izuku was and chuckled. No, that's just Tamaki. Hey Tamaki, come introduce yourself to Nejire's new friend. Tamaki removed himself from the wall and groaned. He walked up nervously, looking away the whole time. Hi, I'm T Tamkai Amajiki. Ni nice to meet you, I wanna go home. Izuku looked at Tamaki with a starstruck expression. That man is my spirit animal. Nice to meet you, I'm Izuku Midoriya. Tamaki just nodded. Mirio grabbed Tamaki by the shoulders. So where should we stop first? Nejire pouted. I already said I wanted pizza. Izuku chuckled and Mirio patted her head. Come on Nejire, let's go get some pizza. Nejire beamed almost immediately. As the group walked to the food court, Nejire would just bounce on one foot or the other. Hey Midoriya, I like your outfit. It's so stylish. The compliment came so out of nowhere that Izuku stammered. He blushed heavily and looked away. Thanks, Hado. You look good too. Nejire beamed and said thanks. Izuku wore a black t-shirt, a white with blue sleeves, and red. It had an orange and white arrowhead on the side. He wore red and white shoes with black pants. Nejire wore a blue dress, with white sleeves around her arms. The group made it to the food court and ordered a big pizza to share. They wanted to save their money for any stuff they wanted to buy in the movies. As they ate, they talked a bit about themselves and what was going on with their lives. Really, Midoriya, I didn't know you knew that many martial arts. I want to learn some kind of fighting style since my wave motion quirk can power up my punches and kicks a lot. Do you think you could teach me? It'd be so fun. Izuku chuckled. Sure, I can teach you. I'll text you the address for my gym so I can teach you. Izuku could see Nejire's somehow light up even more. She took another bite of pizza, which stopped her questions for now. Mirio smiled at the two. I feel okay with my fighting style for now, but I could use a new gym. The one I'm at kinda sucks. I could text it to you too. Hey Amajiki, want to come with us? Amajiki was silently slumped in his chair as he ate. He only contributed to the conversation rarely or if you directly asked him. Sure. I could work on my stamina a bit more. Izuku sent the address, and the group was off to buy a few things before the movie. Mirio bought an anime figure for 1 piece, Amajiki bought a few candies like mochi and lychee. Nejire bought new shoes that were white and pink. Izuku on the other hand bought a whole infinity gauntlet that had articulating fingers. Mirio looked at him with a strange look, no offense Midoriya but. Why? Izuku looked at his left hand which had the infinity gauntlet on it, why not? Nejire looked between the two, I like it. It can be a gag to go into the movies and when they ask if we're going to watch Infinity War we say no and ask for a ticket for Jujutsu Kaisen 0 inches. Mirio and Izuku looked at each other and without a word nodded and fist bumped each other. So they did just that. The person at the counter was completely over it but the others laughed. The seats were okay, they were in the middle so they could see the movie well. Izuku was on one end and Amajiki was on the other with Mirio next to him and Nejire next to Izuku. Izuku watched the movie passively, he just chatted with Nejire whispering so as not to disturb anyone else. So, is your mom like you? All bubbly and speak fast? Nejire tilted her head, what's that supposed to mean? Do you not like my personality? Izuku rolled his eyes as Nejire faked pouted. Nejire laughed at Izuku's expression, I'm just kidding. No my mom isn't but when my dad was alive, he was the same. I guess it was from him that I picked it up. Nejire's face darkened a bit into a sad expression. Izuku frowned. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you remember something like that. Sorry for your loss. Nejire looked at him and smiled softly. It's okay Midoriya, I like to remember my dad. When someone makes me remember I feel sad, but I also feel relieved. 'Cause I lost him when I was young. I get scared of forgetting him so when someone makes me remember him it makes me happy that I remember him. Izuku smiles back and looks at the floor. I understand that my mom, she died when I was 4, so I just want to make her proud. I sometimes forget what she looks like. More like I have trouble remembering her face not covered in flames. Izuku blushed when Nejire rested her head on Izuku's, Hado. Nejire shook her head, call me Nejire. It's nice having someone understand me. Izuku smiled and rested his head on hers. As the group left the movie theater Mirio wanted to gauge how everyone liked it. Amajiki looked down most of the time, pulling his hoodie over his head. He sighed when Mirio pulled it off. It was okay. I liked Yuta. He's relatable. Izuku chuckled. I thought it was good. The fight between Gojo and Miguel was the first thing I'm gonna do in my next tournament fight. It's way too funny and disrespectful to just go from straight fists to slapping a man. Nejire was bouncing up and down after seeing it. I really liked it. I was sad that Yuta and Maki didn't get together at the end. Nejire then looked at Izuku. Izuku, did you say tournament? Do you go to fighting tournaments? Izuku nodded. Yay, don't worry they're legal. It's just the amateur leagues but they're fun to be in. My next one is 2 weeks from now. If you want you can come watch Nejire, they're full of action. Mirio watched the two talk and smiled. First name basis already, huh? Good for you Nejire. Well come on, we should probably head ho. Mirio wasn't able to finish what he was saying. All of a sudden vines started sprouting from everywhere, they could hear screams as people ran away. What the fuck? What's happening? Izuku looked around as people were being snatched by the vines and different stores were being raided and destroyed. Mirio suddenly got serious, it has to be the work of a villain. He looked to Nejire and Amajiki, come on we have to help the people. He looked at Izuku, Midoriya you have to get out of here. You don't have a provisional license so if you use your quirk you can get in trouble. Izuku looked at Mirio with a determined look, hell no, I'm not going to just let you handle this by yourselves. I could care less about the consequences if it means I can help. This villain can go on a killing spree if you guys jump in and have no backup. Plus my quirk uses fire. I'm perfect for the job. Izuku and Mirio stared at each other until Mirio sighed. Fine, then let's hurry, the more we just stand here talking the more people are taken or hurt. Izuku nodded and the 4 of them rushed into the fray. The cons of just existing. Izuku and the others ran through the vines. Amajiki manifested a tiger claw and slashes at the vines. Izuku stares at Amajiki in horror as he remembers how Amajiki's quirk works. Amajiki. Did you have tiger for breakfast or something? Amajiki looked at Izuku and nodded. Why yeah, don't worry, the school provides me with synthetic animal food so I can turn into multiple animals without having to commit animal cruelty. Izuku let out a sigh of relief and got back to the task at hand. Mirio permeated through the vines that attacked him, being able to get farther than rest, but he ended up in just his underwear that was made with his hair. He got to a stop where there were people huddled together as the vines tried to attack them. He rushed forward and grabbed a vine. He permeated through a few vines that attacked and used the vine in his hand to wrap them up, creating a giant knot. Power! Nejire came up behind him with Izuku and Amajiki following close behind. She checked on everyone. Are you all okay? Do you need help? Are you tired? Are you hurt? Man, I can go for some peace and quiet, can you? Izuku breathed fire, burning away a few vines that started getting closer. Don't overwhelm them with questions, Nejire. Izuku looked around and could see nothing but the mass of vines that seemed to be coming almost endlessly. This isn't good. If we found them, then there has to be more. First things first. Amajiki, take them and get out of here. Your quirk is best to help bat away the vines so they can get away. Me, Nejire, and Tagata will go around and try to find anyone else. We'll hold off the vines till the heroes get here. Amajiki nodded and he turned his bottom half into a centaur while creating squid tentacles that came out of his fingers. He helped escort the other people away. Izuku and the rest ran towards the center of where the vines were. On the way they heard a scream. Izuku looked at Nejire and Tagata and they nodded. Changing course, they ran toward the scream. Izuku got there first and saw a girl with purple hair and what looked like earphone jacks coming from her earlobes. She was using them to stab into the vines and somehow blow them up, but she was quickly getting overwhelmed. Izuku ran forward and created a circle with his index and thumb. He put that in front of his mouth, and he spit fire. Using his hand, he shaped the fire into a sniper bullet and shot it forward towards a vine that was sneaking up behind her. Flaming sniper shot. Izuku got to her and moved her out of the way as he started roaring out fire, causing the vines to shrink back. Izuku looked at the girl who looked at him with a starstruck expression. Are you okay, Ms.? The girl nodded. Thanks for saving my ass. Do you know what the hell is happening? Izuku shook his head. Nope, but me and the others will keep you safe. The girl looked past him and Mirio and Nejire who were coming up behind Izuku. Are you heroes? 'Cause you look around my age. Izuku smiled sheepishly. They have provisional licenses. I recently tried out for UA. The girl facepalmed and shook her head. I did too, but I'm not out here risking my life. The girl sighed but looked at Izuku gratefully. But still, thanks. I'm Kyoka Jiro. Izuku smiled and shook her hand. I'm Izuku Midoriya. Maybe we'll be in the same class. Jiro shrugged. Maybe if we survive. So, what's the plan, mister? I tried out for UA. Izuku thought deeply before looking at Nejire and Mirio. The heroes are taking too long. I'm going to have to use that. It'll put me out of commission, but if I can get to the main body and use intricate overload, I can burn the vines without hurting anyone. Nejire, Tagata, get her out of here and anyone else you meet and run far away. I'm going to blow these vines away. Tagata looked at Izuku with widened eyes. How the heck are you going to do that? You haven't even fought a villain before this and now you're going to take this thing on for yourself. Are you trying to kill yourself? Izuku shook his head. The heroes that work close by won't have the firepower to do this. Izuku could see them looking at him confused. He looked away sheepishly. I used to be a huge fanboy, so I would take notes. Anyway, I have the firepower to do so. Endeavor's agency is too far away. He is probably the only other person who can do this with enough precision without hurting anyone. Izuku shot out another fire bullet and had it blow up, so the vines stayed back. Nejire looked at Izuku with worry, something he hadn't seen in her face before. Izuku, are you sure you can do this? Izuku looked at Nejire and shrugged. I don't know if I don't try. Look, we don't have enough time. I know we just met, but please, place your trust in me. The others looked at each other and then the vines. Najire rushed forward and hugged Izuku. Stay safe, otherwise I'll curse your grave. Izuku smiled and hugged her back. I'll try my best, I still have to see if I got into UA. Tagata came forward and fist bumped Izuku. Stay safe man. Izuku nodded and turned away and sat down. He started to take deep breaths and gathered his flames. I'd get going, it's about to be an oven in here. They started to leave but right before Jiro spoke up. Hey, if you survive this, I owe you lunch. Izuku looked at her and grinned. Oh, now I have to survive. The others chuckled. It's strange, somehow having friends makes this situation less hopeless. Izuku gathered his flames in his heart. It got to the point where it got unbearable. Then he had it circulate through his body while continuously gathering his flames. Just when he couldn't take it anymore, he had all of it burst out covering him in flames. Izuku started to transform into some kind of demon. His face turned into obsidian that formed a face. His body did the same to the point all that holded his body were the flames that traveled and circulated through the obsidian. Two golden eyes appeared and with that Izuku roared. Infernal rage. Model Oni. Izuku stood up and clenched his fist that was made of obsidian chunks. Unlike my other infernal moves that turn my bones into obsidian and cover them in flames or infernal rage which covers my body in flames and turns my fists and legs into obsidian, this form turns me into an Oni made of pure fire and obsidian. But this taxing, I got 10 minutes before I burn up. I got to hurry. Izuku rushed forward with insane speed. He burned the vines in front of him just by passing by. He made it to the middle of the mall, and he could see the villain there. He looked like a normal man with the exception of being green and had vines coming out of his body. He had the people he took in cages made of vines. The villain looked at Izuku and snarled, "What the hell are you? It doesn't matter, leave before you get hurt. Once I'm done, I'll be rich with all these hostages I have." Izuku ignored him and rushed forward. The villain raised his fist and created a huge fist of vines from the ceiling. He punched forward, making the giant vine fist punch Izuku, which sent him into a wall. Izuku coughed out flames. He pulled himself up and roared, burning any vines close by. He rushed forward once more. When the villain tried to punch him again, he caught it and burned it to ash. Izuku rushed forward but was stopped by vines. He was then tied up and slammed to the ground. But before he hit the ground, he burned through them, and he created fire on his back that propelled him to his feet. He blasted to the villain. The villain enlarged his own fist with his vines and threw a punch at Izuku. Izuku planted his feet and slipped under the attack. He hit the villain with an uppercut. The villain flew backwards. He backflipped and pushed his hands forward, throwing vines at Izuku. Izuku dodged most of them and caught the last one. He put it on fire and started spinning it like a flail. Izuku swung at the villain who dodged and came close to Izuku. Izuku dipped down and swung on his ankle. He extended his foot and kicked at the villain. It was a kick used in capoeira, Infernal Rabo de Area. Izuku kicked the villain's chin, sending him flying, but before he could fall to the ground, Izuku was there. He slammed his open palm into the villain's solar plexus and roared. Infernal Intricate Overload. The force caused a sun wheel to appear behind the villain. Flames traveled through the vines connected to him and around to each and everyone. Izuku slammed the villain into the ground and kept his palm on his chest. He focused on controlling the flames to burn the vines but not hit any civilians. After a bit it was over. The villain was knocked out and every single vine was destroyed. Izuku stood over the villain. The flames covering him disappeared. His body returned to normal except for his left hand, which was now an obsidian skeleton hand with flames around it. Izuku was panting, fire coming out of his mouth. He turned to see Najire, Amajiki, Jiro, and Mirio running up to him. They saw the villain was knocked out with some burns around his green skin. They looked at Izuku in awe but with some worry for his hand. "Wow, man, that was amazing. But what happened to your hand? Are you good?" Tagata was a bit worried as Izuku's clothes were scorched. Izuku nodded, not having a lot of energy and was extremely hot from overheating. He had no recent burn marks, but Najire could see a few old burn scars on his chest and back. "I wonder how he got those." Izuku took a deep breath. "Sorry, I'm just tired." I'm overheating, but I should be fine in a few minutes. As for my arm, it happens when I transform. When I first got my quirk, I thought it was just some fire quirk, but about a year ago I found out if I gather my fire in my heart continuously while circulating it, I can turn into an Oni. So, I guess that doctor was right after all. It'll go back to normal in an hour, but it means I can't use my fire. Najire pouted. I was so worried. Now I can't even hug or touch you to calm myself down. Izuku blushed and scratched his chin. Well, the fire is actually cold. It doesn't generate heat, it's just there to warn me. Jiro looked at his hand and shrugged, that is so metal. Najire beamed and flew forward and hugged Izuku. Don't ever worry me again. I'm going to be your second year. I should have been protecting you. Izuku chuckled and patted Najire's head. It's fine, I was glad too. Izuku looked at Mirio. He winked at Izuku and chuckled. Izuku just smiled back. Come on, let's go get some ice cream. I know a truck that's nearby. Jiro looked at Izuku like he was stupid. You're forgetting something, or more like someone. Jiro used her earphone jack and pointed towards the villain Izuku was still stepping on. Izuku looked down and smiled sheepishly. He and Najire moved away. All of a sudden police and heroes came rushing in. The police pointed their guns at the teens while the heroes rushed forward to grab the unconscious villain. The group raised their hands, but the police then all looked at Izuku and his flaming hand. Turn off your quirk, young man. We don't want to have to cuff you. Izuku sighed and yelled out, sorry officer, but it's a side effect of transforming. I was the one to take out the villain. With the help of my friends over here. The police looked at Jiro, Amajiki, Mirio, and Najire. You look too young to be heroes. Are you students? Or do you have provisional hero licenses? Najire, Amajiki, and Mirio grabbed their wallets and flashed theirs. The officers looked at Jiro, who started to get worried, but Mirio stood forward and spoke up. Officers, this girl was a bystander we saved. And if it wasn't for Midoriya over here, we would have been in real trouble. He acted in self-defense and with our permission, though I do understand that last part doesn't mean much. The police and heroes looked at each other and then at Izuku. They put their guns down and a man in a trench coat with black hair came forward. Hello, I'm Detective Tsukauchi. Thank you for saving everyone, but look, kid. Using your powers is breaking the law, but since you did save so many people without any casualties and minimal damage to the villain, all I'm going to ask is that you come down to the station and give us a report. Then we can let you go. Tsukauchi looked at the other four. Don't worry, you can go, thank you for your help. Can you at least escort this girl home though? Mirio nodded and Jiro looked at them all with a thankful look. Izuku sighed and nodded. It could be worse. Izuku looked at the others and gave them a bright smile. Thanks for today, besides the villain attack, it was a fun day. Amajiki gave a small smile and nodded. It was. Good luck, Midoriya. Jiro fiddled with her earphone jacks and looked at Izuku nervously. Thanks again for saving me. Hope we get the same class. Izuku nodded, and as they left, Izuku went with the police. Today was fun, and I got to defeat my first villain. And hey, at least all I have to do is go to the police station. The situation could be a lot worse. If only Izuku knew the consequences of your actions. Izuku was so wrong. The situation could get worse. Izuku sat there as Rumi stood over him yelling at the top of her lungs. She still wore the same shirt, but now with some yoga pants. All I wanted was one day off. But no, you had to go off and fight a villain. Now I'm here having to deal with your stupid ass. I just have to know, where in your collard green's point of view did you think that it'd be a good idea to go fight a villain capable of creating vines so large that they cover an entire mall? You know you could have died, right? Hell, look at your arm, it looks like the bone of a burnt rotisserie. Rumi panted as she took a break. The officers and Detective Tsukauchi looked at the boy, feeling bad that after saving so many people he has to deal with Maruko, who is known for her temper. Detective Tsukauchi sighed. This sure is a surprise. Who knew that Maruko, the hero that has been rising up the charts at almost breakneck speed, has a little brother? Izuku looked away. I just wanted to keep everyone safe. Plus, my quirk was the best for the job. Rumi pinched the bridge of her nose and let out a sigh of exhaustion. With no regard for your own safety, right? God, how can you be so stupid? Izuku scoffed, seriously, what about you? You do the exact same thing with every fight. Where do you think I learned it from? Rumi just scowled at him. Yes, but I am strong enough to do that. Not saying you aren't, but the difference is I have more experience. You may be intellectually and analytically smart, but you're still a dumbass thinking you're grown up enough to handle it all by yourself. You still need the help of 3 other hero students who had the license and training, not to mention experience. They didn't get hurt, but guess who did? The kid who hasn't even been accepted into a hero school yet. Izuku sighed and looked away. She's right, I had no business going into the situation. I'm not strong enough to do that. I need way too much work. I should just go to a different hero school. I'm not good enough yet for UA. I'm sorry, Maruko. Rumi looked at Izuku and could see the look on his face. She sighed and looked at him softly. See, there you go again, being stupid. Huh. Izuku looked up and felt Rumi put a hand on his shoulder. Look, I'm upset that you so dangerously put your life at risk, but I'm proud of you. You handled the villain without hurting any civilians, and almost single-handedly at that. I was just trying to knock you down a peg, so you understand that you're not invincible and that this one victory doesn't mean you're fully ready. But you did a damn good job. I'm proud of you, kid. Rumi grinned at Izuku. Izuku brightened up and grinned back, thanks Rumi. Izuku decided to try to change the subject since he was starting to get embarrassed. How did you find out about this anyway? The news hasn't reported on this yet. Before Rumi could say anything, Detective Tsukauchi spoke up. We looked through your files and found the name Rumi Usugiyama as the person who adopted you. We had no idea that was the name of Maruko. Tsukauchi chuckled. It sure was a sight to see the great Maruko so mad at her little brother. Izuku at that point ignored everything after the words adopted you. He looked at Rumi, who was looking away from him. Rumi. What's this? His voice cracked a bit. A wave of emotions rushed through him. Rumi looked at him with a look of nervousness which was uncharacteristically of her personality. A few months after you moved, a few people from the government that were keeping an eye on you went to look for you, but when they learned that you were staying with me, they wanted to take you back because of your mother's will. But I got a lawyer and found out she did say if someone wanted you could be adopted, so I filed the papers. Rumi looked down, not being able to look Izuku in the eyes. Look, Izu, I wasn't trying to replace your mom, I just wanted to keep you around a little longer. I like being your sis. Rumi was cut off as Izuku rushed forward and pulled Rumi into a hug. Rumi looked surprised but hugged him back. Tears streamed down Izuku's face. Thank you, Rumi. I wouldn't know what I would have done without you for these past 3 years. I'm happy to have you as my big sister. Rumi looked at Izuku and smiled sweetly. He hugged him harder and placed her face against his shoulder. Me too, Izu. When the two pulled away, Rumi looked towards the detective. Is the dumbass free to go? Tsukauchi nodded. Yep, we got his report and he's free of any charges. Have a good day, you too. Rumi stretched and looked towards Izuku. Come on, Izuku, you owe me a massage. Izuku smiled and walked with her. Sure. Izuku hadn't expected Kamiji to be there. But apparently as soon as she heard what happened, all she did was grab her bag and while still in her hero costume rushed towards the gym to meet the two. She chewed out Izuku, but eventually she came in, changed now with Rumi going back to relaxing in just her shirt and underwear. All of them were in the living room watching TV. Rumi decided to take another day off, and so did Kamiji. Izuku spent the next hour messaging the tension out of Rumi and Kamiji as a way of saying sorry. Izuku texted his new friends saying everything went well. The next week was nothing important, but on Monday of next week he had his big tournament. He woke up early that day to get ready. He wore his shorts that Rumi custom ordered him as with his jacket and gloves. He wore a tank top so as to not walk around shirtless on the bus. Izuku stood outside the stadium and was about to go in when he got a text from Najire. Wait for me, I'm 2 minutes away, asterisk. Izuku chuckled and texted back, KK, I'm just outside. A few minutes later he saw Najire coming down the street, using her quirk to fly forward. She tackled Izuku into a hug. Hey Izuku, are you excited for your match? I can't wait to see how it goes. Oh, do you think there will be food? I'm starving. Oh, how do these matches work anyway? Do you think you'll win? I hope you do. Izuku chuckled. Hey Najire, I am excited. I hope you enjoy watching. There will be food, a few people will be walking around selling. The matches are tournament style, so I will have to beat at least 3 people before getting to the final 2. I hope I win and thanks. Najire laughed. It still surprises me you can get all that in one go. So should we head in? Izuku nodded and the two walked into the building. Results of the last 3 years. Izuku and Najire walked into the building. There was a set of bleachers facing each other on other sides of the wall. In the middle was a boxing ring. Najire looked at Izuku with curiosity. Wow Izuku, this place is nice. I wonder how many people are gonna be watching. Can you only box or can you use other martial arts? Do you think you'll be able to use your quirk? Izuku chuckled. We can use any martial arts but we can't use quirks. Honestly it depends. Sometimes it's just 5 people, other times the seats are packed and then some. Izuku pointed over to the bleachers. I'd get a good seat cause this is the finals, so there's a good chance there'll be a lot of people. I'm gonna get ready. Najire nodded and looked at Izuku. Good luck Izu. Thanks. Izuku blushed and walked towards the lockers. When he walked in he could see the person he fought last year. He smiled and walked up to him. Hey Ace. It's been a while. Hey Ace had short orange hair. He looked towards Izuku and smirked. Izuku fucking Midoriya. How's it been? I heard you got 3rd place last time. Izuku chuckled and dapped him up into a side hug. Yay, that fucker Nagisa almost broke my neck. I hear he's going to be your first opponent. Hey Ace nodded. Yeah, any inside tips on his style? Izuku brought his fingers to his chin and thought, don't lose sight of him when he slips under your attacks. He's good at mobility and if he gets you in one of his locks it's over. Hey Ace grinned. Thanks man, I hear your opponent is going to Kyoshi. I fought her last year. She almost took my head off with her mystery kick. She's really good at feints and pressure points, so be careful. Izuku smirked. Thanks man, good luck. You too. Izuku got into his boxing outfit and sat by where the fighters could watch. Izuku watched as another one of his fighting buddies came. He smirked as he walked in. Nagoroki, there you are, you beefy bastard. Nagoroki smirked. He was a big burly black man with dreads. He brought Izuku into a bear hug and chuckled heartily. Man, it's great to see you. How's your gut? Izuku rolled his eyes. Man, I can still feel that moment where you gave the meanest headbutt of my life. Never do shit like that again. The two laughed. Hey Ace came up and the 3 sat down. So the first round is against the newbie and Agamo, right? 1,500 yen on the newbie. Nagoroki looked at Izuku like he was stupid. You're insane. Agamo practices jujitsu and judo to red belt. The newbie only practices hapkido to red belt. You are insane, but I'll take you up on it. 3,000 yen. Izuku shook his head. You're the insane one. I've been practicing hapkido to my green belt and that shit is. Just watch. Hey Ace, what are you betting? Hey Ace scratched his cheek and sighed. I have to go with Nagoroki. 1,500 yen on Agamo. The trio watched as Agamo and the newbie Ace walked into the arena. The referee started the match. Agamo goes in for a punch and Ace blocks it with her forearm. Agamo punches with his other fist but Ace blocks it again with her other one and then brings her hand in a chop on Agamo's clavicle. Agamo yells in pain and grabs his shoulder area. Ace steps back as the ref comes forward and checks on Agamo. The ref then calls in a nurse and then yells out, Ace Akabane wins the match. Agamo Katsuki has broken his clavicle, making him unable to fight. Damped, Nagoroki yelled. Izuku gave the two a smug look as they took their phones out and sent him the money. Izuku shrugged. What did I say? Hapkido is badass. The next round came up and it was Heise's turn. Heise was up against Nagisa, who had black hair and was a skinny dude. The round started and Nagisa rushed forward. Heise pivoted on his heel, causing Nagisa to miss his punch. Heise threw out a left hook but Nagisa slipped under it and around Heise. Nagisa put Heise in a chokehold but Heise jumped up and flipped in the air. When they fell, Heise slammed on Nagisa. Nagisa had the wind knocked out of him and before he could recover, Heise put him in an armbar. Nagisa eventually tapped out and Heise was declared the winner. Izuku and Nagoroki congratulated him. Before the next match, Najire floated up to Izuku. Hey Izu, are these your friends? What's their names? Oh, did you see those matches? They were so cool. Isn't yours next? Are you nervous? Nagoroki and Hayase looked at each other, not understanding a word she said, but looked at Izuku with a dumbfounded look on their face when he answered every single question in order. Yea, they're like my rivals, this Yamato Nagoroki and this is Tagato Hayase. Guys, this is Najire Hado, she's my friend I brought here. The matches were cool Najire, and I'm a little nervous. Do you want to watch from up here? It's way easier to see the action. Najire nodded. She took Izuku's seat and smiled. Good luck Izu, I'm rooting for you. Izuku grinned and walked down towards the arena. Nagoroki looked at Najire next to him. So is this your first time seeing Midoriya fight? Najire nodded and Nagoroki looked at Hayase and laughed heartily. Well, you're in for a treat. Oh, have you heard his nickname yet? Najire looked at him with that twinkle of curiosity. Do you mean like a fighting nickname or his nickname Izu? Does everyone have nicknames? Did Izuku do something so bad he got a weird nickname? Are you bullying him? Najire stared at Nagoroki and Hayase suspiciously. Nagoroki looked at her dumbfounded and asked her to repeat that slower. I mean his fighting nickname. He didn't do anything bad to get it, it's just our way of knowing the more infamous opponents. Like Hayase over here is known as adaptation, he's really good at adapting from any situation as it's happening. They call me Bull Rush, you'll understand that when I go up. But Midoriya is known as Mr. Disrespect. Najire raised an eyebrow, like the YouTuber. Hayase chuckled and shook his head. Nope, you'll see right now why he's called that. Najire watched intently as she watched Izuku walk right into the ring. Izuku smiled up at her and then focused on his opponent. I got to close the distance and have her knocked down soon, otherwise if she gets me with those pressure points I'm done for. Izuku stared down Kiyoshi, she did the same. As the match started, Kiyoshi rushed forward. Izuku could see in her body language she was setting up for a feint. So Izuku got down on his hands and knees and pushed himself forward for a headbutt, kabakata. Kiyoshi stopped suddenly so Izuku missed her by a few feet, but he then planted his hands on the floor and scorpion kicked her in the chest and face. Kiyoshi reeled back and held her lip which was bleeding. Izuku got back up with a smirk. Izuku rushed in and Kiyoshi met him. He saw Kiyoshi go for a right jab, but he let her try the feint and slipped under the left uppercut she was setting up. He then planted his hands and leg locked her around her neck. Instead of bringing her to the ground, he threw her, making her flip and land on her back. Najire watched the match with wonder. Wow, they weren't kidding. Izuku, he's so cool. Najire felt a heat in her chest as she watched Izuku fight. The look of absolute joy on his face made her smile. He looks so happy. I wonder if anything else could make him that happy. Izuku got up and gave Kiyoshi a come here gesture. Kiyoshi snarled and charged again. Izuku did the same and then cartwheeled, Obetito. It ended up with Izuku kicking Kiyoshi out of the ring. The crowd cheered. Najire stood up and clapped for Izuku while cheering. Izuku looked up at her with a grin. Najire sat back down as Nagoroki and Hayase laughed. Welp, that's Midoriya for you. You get it now. Najire looked at Nagoroki. I do, I had no idea Izuku could scorpion kick mid-battle. Hayase laughed. Right, God, last time he struck me 10 times before doing it again on my forehead sending me out the ring. Najire looked at Izuku as he left the ring in wonder. Wow, I had no idea. Izuku seems so nice, but I guess it is always the nice ones. I guess fighting almost switches his personality. Why is that kind of hot? Najire shook her head and when Izuku came back up she gave him a hug. That was amazing, Izuku. Izuku rubbed the back of his head and smiled sheepishly. Thanks Najire. Nagoroki's match ended quickly. His opponent tried to attack but Nagoroki grabbed his arm and palm-sticked his chest. He fell to the floor and had to be sent to the nurse for broken ribs. It was now gonna be Izuku versus Nagoroki. The two looked at each other and shook hands. Good luck Naga, make sure you give me your all. Nagoroki smirked. I can say the same to you. The two went down to the arena. Hayase looked at Najire. Who are you betting on? Najire tilted her head and poked her cheek. What do you mean? I was gonna just bet Izuku. Hayase chuckled. Don't count Naga out yet. He's got his tricks. Izuku walked into the arena with Nagoroki. The match started and Nagoroki charged at him, throwing a left kick. Izuku slipped under and spinned, kicking Nagoroki's foot out from under him. Rasteria. Nagoroki fell on his back but quickly got back up by planting his hands and springing off them to land on his feet. Izuku rushed in and planted his hands and swung both his legs, trying to kick Nagoroki. Meia Lua de Compasso Dua. Nagoroki backed up but when Izuku landed on his feet he rushed in and gut-checked Izuku. Izuku lost his wind and fell to his knees. Nagoroki went for an axe kick but Izuku rolled, still clutching his gut. That fucking bastard. I forgot how hard he hits. Nagoroki didn't let Izuku rest so he kicked Izuku in the gut sending Izuku flying back. Izuku planted his feet and stood up but Nagoroki continued to pressure him throwing a right hook. Izuku backed up but Nagoroki still clipped him in the jaw, sending Izuku spinning. Izuku planted his feet once more and took a deep breath in as to hold on to his breakfast. Nagoroki charged but this time Izuku when he punched Izuku grabbed his wrist and elbow and, using circular motion slammed Nagoroki onto the ground. Thank you Hapkido. Izuku went for an axe kick but Nagoroki rolled out of the way and kipped up. Izuku didn't let Nagoroki rest so he dipped down low and extended his kicking Nagoroki in the jaw. Rabo de area. Nagoroki stumbled back but before he could rest Izuku used a taekwondo kick kicking him right in the chest. Nagoroki stepped back trying to recover but Izuku was right there crouched. He hit Nagoroki in the gut sending him up a little and then Izuku sprung up and yelling from the top of his lungs, Metsu Shoryuken. Izuku uppercutted him right in the chin, sending him flying. When the two landed, Nagoroki was on the floor knocked out. The nurses grabbed Nagoroki and Izuku came back up. Najire pouted a bit. Did you have to hurt him that badly and hit him with the street fight for? Izuku smiled sheepishly. I thought it would be funny. Izuku looked at Najire a bit more seriously. Look Najire, we all know what we're doing here. When Nagoroki wakes up he'll be fine and we'll have a good match. It's just how things are. So trust me when I say that kind of thing doesn't really matter much. We all know what we signed up for and can act like adults about it. Najire looked away but nodded. He's right, I just came here, I shouldn't be trying to judge. Sorry. Izuku chuckled. It's fine Najire, it just means you care and that's okay. Nagoroki woke up during Heise's match. Heise put his opponent in a headlock, making him tap out. The final match was here and Izuku and Heise were up against each other. The two locked eyes and nodded, looks of seriousness on their face. The two left separately. When they got to the arena the two had faces of serious determination. The round started and Izuku was on the offensive. He jumped up and came down with an axe kick. Heise backed up but Izuku landed and planted his hands spinning both his legs up to hit Heise, Meia Lua de Compasso Dua. Heise got hit in the jaw but stood his ground. He dipped down and tried to get Izuku to fall but Izuku dropped his left foot and extended his right. When Heise got up he planted his right hand and threw out a kick with his left foot. Heise grabbed it and twisted it causing Izuku to twist to the ground. Izuku planted his hands and pushed back causing Heise to let go. Izuku got up and when Heise charged Izuku spun. Izuku jumped up and leg-locked Heise's neck and spun them to the ground, Banda de Costa. Izuku got up and put Heise in a choke hold. Heise tapped out. Izuku backed up and helped Heise up. The referee came and lifted Izuku's arm, the winner of this year's tournament. Is Izuku, Mr. Disrespect, Midoriya. The crowd cheered as an assistant came and handed Izuku his trophy. Najire came flying and hugged Izuku. Izuku hugged her back, feeling super happy. The reporters came in and asked for a picture so Izuku brought Najire close and he took a picture with her and the trophy. Izuku walked with Najire to the bus stop. That was so awesome Izuku, I'm happy you were able to win. You were amazing. Do you think you'll do another one next year? What about Nagoroki or Heise? Do you think they'll be there next year? Do you think you can teach me a bit of martial arts? I wanna join you guys next year. Is that okay Izu? Izuku smiled sweetly at her, back in his regular clothes and his hair a bit wet from using the showers at the arena. Thanks Najire, I plan on doing this tournament again next year. I'm pretty sure Nagoroki and Hayase are going international next year for a different tournament, but maybe. And it'll be my pleasure to teach you. Izuku then stopped and thought for a second. Wait, Najire wants me to teach her martial arts. Awesome. It'll be fun to have someone else to train with. Maybe we can use this time to get to know each other better. Not like that, but it'd still be fun. And Izuku felt Najire tap his shoulder, snapping himself out of his trance. You were mumbling, Izu. Izuku blushed. Oh, sorry, I just meant that it'd be fun to hang out more, and martial arts is a good way defense. I'm not saying you're not strong, but Izuku was stopped when Najire got on her tiptoes and kissed Izuku's cheek. The two looked at each other with a blush, Izuku more than Najire, but both were red. I want to get to know you better too. Najire beamed. Izuku looked at her with shock. Her face started turning into a tomato as she saw him touch his cheek where she kissed him. Welp, this my stop. See you later, Izuku. Najire flew into the bus and the bus sped off, leaving Izuku there, a trophy in hand and blush on his cheeks. Najire rode the bus and covered her red face with her hands. What did you do that for, Najire? Come on, you've only known the guy for a week and you already have feelings for him. You're better than that. At least get to know him a bit more. I haven't even had him over at my house or been to his. We've only hung out 2 times, just slow down, girl. Najire sighed and looked out the window. I'm doomed. Izuku walked home silently with a smile on his face. Najire Hado kissed me, my cheek, but still. Does she like me, or was it like a French thing? You feelings suck. It's best to wait a little bit. I've only known her for a week. I might as well wait to know her a bit better before jumping into something this new. Izuku sighed as he walked into the house. Rumi and Kamiji were on the couch watching UFC. Come on. Don't be a little bitch. Kamiji yelled. Rumi laughed as the guy kicked his opponent across the jaw, knocking him out. Damped. My parlay. Rumi laughed as she looked at Kamiji smugly. Where's my money? Kamiji grumbled as she pulled out her wallet and handed Rumi the money. Thank you very much. Rumi looked towards Izuku. Oh hey, kid. How was the tournament? Izuku smirked and held up the trophy. What do you think? Kamiji grinned. Wow, good job, Izu. Guess we'll have 2 things to celebrate tonight. Izuku looked at Kamiji with confusion. Huh. What's the other thing? Did you two finally propose to each other? Rumi and Kamiji blushed before yelling at Izuku. Don't be stupid, I meant this, you overgrown spinach. Kamiji pulled out a letter and threw it at Izuku. Izuku caught it and looked at the seal. He almost dropped his trophy when he saw it. UA. It finally came. Izuku set down his trophy and ran to his room, but Rumi jumped over the couch and grabbed his arm. Nope, me and Mo trained you, we deserve to see if you got in too. Izuku sighed and walked to the living room table. Kamiji and Rumi stood behind him. Izuku ripped open and out came a hollow disc. It turned on and a projection came out. On the screen was All Might. On the screen, I am here in the form of a projection. All Might, Izuku yelled in excitement. This means he's going to be a teacher at UA. I'm going to have a chance to have All Might teach me. Rumi grumbled. Why don't I get that treatment anymore? Kamiji laughed and rested her head on Rumi's shoulder. Rumi blushed but rested her head on Kamiji's. As you can see, I'm gonna be a teacher at UA, so they had me announce the news of whether you'll be getting into UA. But before I do, let me explain something. All Might pointed to a screen and showed Izuku blowing up the robot and saving that girl. As you can see, you willingly risked your life to the life of this young girl, and we thank you for that, but you had no reason to worry as we programmed the robot to sense any students it may step on. Rumi glared at Izuku for risking his life while Kamiji just cackled. God, you're such an idiot, Izu. Izuku rolled his eyes and focused on the screen. Well, Izuku Midoriya, destroying robots wasn't the only part of the exam. There's a panel of judges watching the exam for acts of heroism, and what is more heroic than saving a life? So Izuku Midoriya, I'm honored to be the one to tell you this, but All Might changed the screen and showed all the points. In second place was Katsuki Bakugo with 73 villain points. And in first, Izuku Midoriya, with 70 villain points and 85 rescue points for not only saving that girl but helping others with the robot horde. You were in first place, but that's not all. See, my score when I tested was 150 points, but you have surpassed our expectations and set the new UA record. Izuku Midoriya, you have beaten me with a new record of 155 points. Congratulations, young Midoriya. Welcome to your Hero Academia with flying colors. Can't wait to see you there. The disc shut off, making the room silent. Before anyone could say anything, Izuku started to sob. Tears of joy streamed down his face. Rumi and Kamiji smiled at each other and then cheered out, "Well, brat, you did it. I'm proud of you, bro." Rumi hugged Izuku. Kamiji did the same. "I knew you had it in you, Izuku." Izuku looked back at his older sisters and beamed. His smile lightened up the room. "You watching me, mom? I did it. I made it into UA." Izuku hugged his sister's back, smiling brightly as he did. "I'm gonna be a hero, mom. Keep watching me from wherever you are." Making deals for the truth. Izuku was in his room getting ready for his first day of UA High. The uniform was uncomfortable, but it was mostly because Izuku has never liked wearing suits or anything close to one. Izuku was fighting his tie as he tried to tie, but it failed. Uuuggh. I hate ties. Rumi passed by and laughed. "Here, let me." Rumi came into Izuku's room and grabbed the tie. She showed him how to tie it himself and to his embarrassment showed him how easy it was. "Now come on. I got your breakfast and lunch downstairs. Hurry up before it gets cold." I know. I'm hurrying up." Izuku finished getting ready and headed down. He saw Kamiji downstairs eating with Rumi. "Oh, did you two have fun last night?" Izuku smirked as Kamiji blushed and Rumi snarled at him. Kamiji sighed. "I just slept here 'cause I happened to get drunk and didn't feel safe calling an Uber." Izuku shrugged, and sat down and scarfed down his food. "Okay, I'm off." Rumi nodded. "Have a good first day, kid." "Izuku, you have a good day too, sis." Izuku got up to leave but winked at Kamiji, handing her a paper. He then handed Rumi a letter and left. Rumi said thanks and got up and left. Kamiji looked at the paper to see it was a letter. "Hey Mo, Rumi hates to celebrate it, but I still give her gifts. Today is her birthday. I gave her money 'cause she'll only accept useful things, but I think she'd like something different from you. I'm not suggesting that, but just take her out. Whether you want to admit it yet or not. You both like each other. It doesn't have to be a date, but she'd really appreciate it. Love, the best person in the world. Your brother Izuku." Kamiji blushed. "That jackass. I guess he has a point. For as long as I've known Rumi, she's hated her birthday. Maybe." When Rumi came back, Kamiji looked up at her with a red face. "Hey Rumi. Would you like to go out with me today?" Rumi sat next to her with a look of confusion. Huh. Like on a date? This is my way out. I can say no and preserve our friendship, or, yay, on a date. Would you want to?" Kamiji had a huge blush on her face. Rumi looked away. She had a slight blush on her face as she sighed. "Finally." Kamiji looked at Rumi with surprise. "Huh." Rumi looked at Kamiji and then moved to straddle her. Both were red in the face, but while Kamiji looked flustered, Rumi was smirking. "I said finally. You know how long I've been waiting for you to finally ask me. I wanted to, but you were always so nervous when I asked if you wanted to hang out that I thought it best for you to ask me. I got to thank the brat for finally getting you to." Kamiji looked away, but Rumi grabbed her chin and kissed her. Kamiji's eyes widened, but she closed them and sat there as Rumi kissed her. When she pulled away, Kamiji looked away. I wanted to wait for after tea the date. It's common courtesy." Rumi rolled her eyes. "Well, it's common courtesy not to make a girl wait for 6 years. So how about this? You know that restaurant we went to for our graduation?" All Kamiji could do was nod. "Well, dress in your best and meet me there. You're paying, and if you do good I'll let you kiss me any way you like." Kamiji flushed at the implications but nodded. I will." Rumi smiled and got off of her. "Good, now leave. It's a bit awkward now." Kamiji nodded and left. Thank God that worked. Izuku was on the bus when he got 2 different texts telling him thanks. Both were from Kamiji and Rumi. Yes, finally. That was a wait for the last 3 years. God, I'm going to have to soundproof my room. Izuku got off the bus and stood in front of the gates of UA once more. "I'm actually here. I can't believe it." Izuku could see Najire, Mirio, and Tamaki at the gate chatting. He ran over there. "Hey guys." Najire saw him and blushed. She looked away but waved at him. Mirio smiled and clapped Izuku on the back. "Hey man. Glad you were able to get in. What class are you in?" Izuku smiled and looked at Najire. "Did I do something? She's not usually that shy." Izuku shook his head before looking back at Mirio. "Class 1A." Mirio cringed. "Ooh, I'm so sorry for your loss." Izuku started to panic. What's so bad about that?" Mirio shook his head. "I shouldn't say." He smiled. "I'll let it be a surprise." Izuku grumbled. "You're a jerk, Tagata. Can't warn a man and then say the scary thing coming up is a surprise." Mirio chuckled as Tamaki focused on becoming one with the wall. "Me and Najire have a friend who was in that class. It's harder than it looks. Don't let your guard down." Izuku smiled. "Thanks Amajiki." "See Mirio, that's how you warn someone." Najire laughed and then when she and Izuku locked eyes she blushed and looked away. Mirio saw the interaction. He then frowned and looked at Izuku. "Did you do something? She's never this shy." Before Izuku could say anything Najire grabbed his arm. "It's nothing Mirio. Come on Izuku, I'll show you to your class. UA is so big I don't want you to get lost." Najire then dragged Izuku away. Mirio looked at Amajiki and smirked. She likes him. Amajiki nodded. "It's so obvious." Izuku and Najire walked through the halls silently. "Come on, think Izuku, what did you do?" "She's the one who kissed you on the cheek, but does she like me?" "No, that makes no sense. Why would she like me? I mean, sure, I've bulked up, but that's not everything. Does she like my personality?" "Maybe, but I can't say for sure." "Ma." Najire pulled Izuku into an empty classroom and closed the door. "You're mumbling so I didn't want anyone to hear." Her face turned even more red as she looked away. "Oh." Izuku flushed and looked away sheepishly. "Do you like me, Najire?" Najire sighed. I don't know. I haven't felt like this before." Izuku took a deep breath. "Then would you like to go out with me tomorrow?" Najire looked at Izuku with shock. She could see he was completely red. A few flames danced around his hair. "What? Why me? Is it because of my body, my personality? Do you like me for that or is it something else? Is it because I'm a good dancer? Wait, how did you see me dance? I haven't danced in front of you, I think. Is it cause I'm older? Is that your type? What is your type?" Izuku snickered before bursting out laughing. "Oh God, with such a serious conversation you do know how to brighten things up." Najire pouted and started hitting his arm. "Don't be mean, Izu." Izuku grabbed her hands. He looked her in the eyes. She started turning red again. "How about this, let's go out. If it goes well and we confirm these feelings then we can go from there." "That sound good." Najire smiled and nodded. "Yep." Izuku smiled back and let go of her. "Then I'll see you tomorrow." "Have a good day, Najire." Najire nodded and the two went their separate ways. Najire was bouncing around happily for her date tomorrow. Izuku was able to find his class after a little bit. He opened the door and sighed, "And I was having such a good day." Izuku could see Bakugo was in his class. He could see a blue-haired kid with glasses yelling at him to take his feet off the desk. "Oh hey Midoriya." Izuku turned around to see Ochako behind him. "I can't believe we're in the same class." Izuku smiled. "Yeah, I'm glad I'll at least know one person here." "Oh, so I guess I don't matter, huh?" Izuku turned around to see Mina sitting on her desk. Izuku smirked. "So I guess you got in Ashido. Well, it's nice to see you again, Pinky." Mina nodded. "Yep, I almost failed the written exam but I passed the physical." "So who's this girl?" Okahako smiled. "I'm Okahoko Uraraka. Izuku here saved me when I got trapped under some rubble. He destroyed the giant robot in one punch." Uraraka started punching the air. Mina looked at Izuku dumbfounded. "Wow. What's your quirk? How the hell did you get so strong that you could destroy something that huge in one punch?" Izuku looked away sheepishly and scratched his cheek. "It's called Oni. It's a fire quirk. It allows me to create and control fire, so when I punched it I left some residual heat and I used that to blow it up from the inside." Mina looked at him starstruck. "Wow. I need some work then. I can barely throw my acid more than 10 meters." Izuku smiled. Well, we're here to get strong. The door opened once more and a girl with purple hair walked in. Izuku's eyes widened when the two locked eyes. Jiro. Midoriya. Jiro smiled and walked up to him. I forgot you said you were coming here. Izuku smiled again. Yeah, I'm glad to see you're safe. I was a bit worried. Jiro shook her head. If it wasn't for you saving me, I would have a very different answer. A blonde-haired kid turned to his side and could see a kid with what looked like purple balls on his head crying blood. Hey dude, are you okay? The purple-haired kid just yelled, that lucky bastard. The ratio is already off and look, he's already collecting a harem. Leave some for the rest of us. But he shut up as soon as Izuku glared at him. Izuku went back to talk with the others when he frowned and saw a yellow bean bag inchworming its way to the class. He walked over and opened the door. You good. Aizawa smiled to himself. That's a first. Seems this year may not be so terrible. He stood up and finished his juice pouch. Everyone took a step back. Hello, I am Shota Aizawa. I am your homeroom teacher and I suggest you get in your seats. Scary. Everyone thought as they quickly made it to their seats. Aizawa checked his watch and sighed. 8 seconds, good, but that needs to be better. Aizawa pulled out a gym uniform and smiled. Put these on and meet me outside. Ochako raised her hand and asked, Sir, what about orientation? Aizawa rolled his eyes. That orientation is impractical. Now anyone else has any stupid questions? No good, he said before anyone could raise their hands. Now hurry up, and one last thing. Aizawa smirked before leaving. Welcome to your first day of the hell that is known as UA High. Then he shut the door, leaving the room with a sudden chill. And I was just having such a good day. Finally, Izuku quickly changed and left the locker rooms. He was the first one out of everyone. When Aizawa saw him, he nodded in approval. Izuku nodded back and stood there as the others came in. Aizawa then explained the purpose of this exam. Wow, it's already the first day and I can get expelled. I can't mess around so close to the starting line. Aizawa took out a baseball and tossed it to Izuku. Midoriya, you got the most points on the entrance exam. What? Bakugo yelled. He was about to say more but he saw the glare Aizawa was giving him and thought better. Choosing to grumble, fucking Deku, how the hell did he do that? He must have cheated. Aizawa sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. Continuing, how far did you throw in middle school? 67 meters, I think. Aizawa nodded. Try with your quirk this time, you can do anything as long as you stay in the white circle. Izuku took a deep breath and walked to the circle. How should I do this? The material in this ball feels different, so I think it can handle my fire. Oh, I got it. Izuku put the ball in his hands and he brought it to his chest. He focused his flames into his hands and gathered them into a sphere around the ball. He then pulled his hands back and smirked. Me. Izuku continued gathering flames. Everyone behind him wide-eyed. Kaminari smiled brightly. No way. Me. Izuku could hear some of the guys cheering. He smiled and put more fire into his hands, molding it. He then threw the ball. A huge blast of fire followed it. He turned the fire into a dragon and had it fly off with the ball farther. The ball eventually fell. The class turned to Aizawa, who held up his phone after looking at it. He smirked slightly at the number. See this is your competition. Izuku smiled at the number he had gotten, 1,200 Guess I did good. Izuku walked back as Aizawa called the next person up. Kaminari came up to him and held out his fist. Bro, you have my respect. Izuku laughed and fist-bumped him. It was my pleasure. The next few tests were nothing big. Izuku did well in the vault using his flames to send him far. He did okay on the grip test, but he marveled as Shoji got a whopping 500 kg. When it came to speed, he came in second behind Iida. At the end, the name on the end was Minoru Mineta. Mineta's eyes widened. No, come on. I haven't even getting to touch boobs yet. Mineta started to cry. Aizawa then smiled. Well, good job everyone. No one is expelled. It was just a logical deception to get you all to work you hardest. Mineta looked up at Aizawa and cheered. Oh god, yes. I was scared there for a second. Aizawa then gave Mineta a serious look. Oh, but don't think I didn't hear that comment. I have my eye on you. Mineta gulped as Aizawa walked away. The rest of the students let out a sigh of relief. After classes, as Izuku was leaving the gates of UA, he heard a familiar voice. Midoriya. Izuku looked back and could see Ochako running up to him. Hey Midoriya. Hey Uraraka, what's up? Izuku smiled at her as he walked. I was curious about why Bakugo called you Deku. I heard him grumbling to himself. Izuku looked down and rubbed the back of his head. It's a nickname he gave me when we were younger. If you mess with the kanji you get Deku. He likes to use it to call me useless. Ochako tilted her head. I think it can be used like Dekiru, like you can do anything. Izuku smiled. Then if you would like you can call me Deku. I think it'd help take the power away from him. Ochako smiled. Okay. Oh, want to hang out later? I planned on going to the mall. Izuku shook his head. Sorry Uraraka, my sister is going out so I have to watch the gym. Ochako nodded. Okay, quickly though, you have a gym. Izuku shook his hand. Kinda, it's my sister's but I helped her advertise it. If you're ever looking for a chance to bulk up or work on your quirk I can send you the address. We're open throughout the week 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. when my sister goes out on patrol. I can get you a discount if you want. Ochako smiled. Sure, I use the exercise. What does the discount get me? Izuku thought for a second. How about 10 yen a month? Ochako nodded. After the two exchanged numbers, the two went their separate ways. When Izuku got home he saw Rumi on her phone in a black sundress with red strawberries on it. Wow, sis, I guess you're going all out, huh? Izuku smirked. Rumi rolled her eyes but smiled. She leaned back in her chair and looked at Izuku. Well, Mo finally asked me out so I have to show up. I got 6 years worth of feelings pent up. Izuku cringed. I know I said it as a joke but do I really need to soundproof my room? Rumi shrugged. Izuku teased but he smiled. I'm rooting for you too. Treat her well Rumi. Rumi smirked. She better treat me right. She's paying for this date. Izuku chuckled. Well, looks like she's here. I hear her car pulling up. Rumi shook her head. I swear she needs to get a muffler on that thing. Rumi and Izuku came out and saw the truck Kamiji drove. Rumi could see Kamiji was in a pink sundress with red strawberries too. I guess we had the same idea. Kamiji blushed and nodded. Get in, I'm tired of waiting for your ass. Rumi yelled. I've been waiting for you. Rumi hopped in and looked at Izuku. Keep an eye on the gym for me. Izuku nodded. Don't worry, I will. Have fun you too. Kamiji smiled. We will. Stay safe. Izuku smiled as he watched the two leave. Hope everything goes well for you sis. Izuku walked back into the gyms, hands in pockets. Kamiji and Rumi sat silently as they drove to the restaurant. So how was work? Rumi shrugged. It was fine. Rumi side-eyed Kamiji. Come on, you have to be better at dates than this. Kamiji scoffed. Like you're any better. I don't go on many. Rumi smirked. Well, what about that time in college with that guy? Kamiji flushed in embarrassment. Come on, that's a dirty move. You know I was just getting over a breakup, plus it was only like 2 times. Rumi rolled her eyes, and I had to lay there as you got it on with that guy. Rumi looked away. Super hearing is a bitch. Kamiji looked away and parked the car. She was about to get out and slam the door but Rumi pulled her close, their lips so close. Rumi. Rumi had a look of pure desire in her eyes. You know how much I hated you at that moment. Hated the fact that it wasn't me with you. Kamiji blushed. I'm sorry. I was just. Rumi shook her head. I don't care, I have you now. Kamiji leaned in but Rumi leaned back and smirked. And I'm going to make you give me the best date of my life. Then I'll give you your kiss. Rumi got out of the car while Kamiji sat there fuming. Rumi, you're so mean. God, I wish I asked you out earlier. Kamiji caught up to Rumi. The two were seated and ordered. Okay, let me try this again. Rumi, why do you like me? Is it like my personality or quirk? Rumi tilted her head. I like you cause you're strong. You're passionate and you don't let anyone give you shit. Rumi smirked. You're everything I want. Kamiji looked away and blushed. Thanks. Rumi smiled. So what do you like about me? Kamiji rolled her eyes and smiled. More of the same, except I like seeing how you treat Izuku. You have a lot more heart than most people give you credit for. It was Rumi's turn to blush. Thanks, Mo. The two continued to talk until their food came. Rumi got a steak while Kamiji got cheesecake. The two started to eat but also eye each other's food. Rumi cut a piece of her steak and lifted Kamiji's chin. Here, try this. Kamiji blushed and opened her mouth. She bit down on the steak and smiled. It's good. She took a bit of her cheesecake and fed it to Rumi. Rumi smiled as she ate. God, that was good. The two smiled at each other as they ate. They finished up and hand walked out. Kamiji smiled at Rumi. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for coming out with me. Rumi smiled at Kamiji. I've been wanting to mow. When they got close to the car, Rumi pulled Kamiji close. She slipped her hand to the small of her back and her other to her cheek. I've been waiting forever for this, Mo. Kamiji blushed but cupped Rumi's cheeks. Me too, Rumi. Now what are you waiting for? Kiss me already. Rumi smirked and leaned in, kissing Kamiji. Finally, her lips taste so sweet. Kamiji closed her eyes and kissed back. Their tongues played with each other. I love her taste. The two kissed for a bit. Kamiji gasped when she felt Rumi's hand on her back move down to her ass. Rumi felt Kamiji smirk and continued to kiss her. Rumi gasped when she felt Kamiji reach up and touch her breasts. Rumi smiled into the kiss. When the two finally pulled away, they were both panting. Kamiji blushed and smirked. Really? Going for my ass? Not even going to wait till we're home? Rumi rolled her eyes. Not my fault, it's always staring at me. Rumi smirked. Come on, you can sleep with us tonight. Kamiji smirked. So we're going to? Rumi shook her head. Not until the third date at least. Don't want to put out too early. Kamiji laughed and got into the car with Rumi. Best date ever. The two drove off, leaving with a memory they've been waiting for the past 6 years. To be continued. I hope you enjoyed this story. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.